And let's move to Sunday, James. West Ham 0, Arsenal 6.
I can't even laugh, right?
It was pretty painful. I mean, if you look at the first half an hour, you kind of feel like this is how you expect the game to have been. Arsenal dominate, West Ham dig in and basically ride your luck. But that's the problem with situations like that. You blink 10 minutes and it's 4-0. And it's been about to happen for a while. I think that period from when Saliba scores to half-time to go from nothing to 4-0 was it killed the game. Game was done and dusted. You don't even feel like it's worth trying to come back. Because there's games we've been 3-0 down against the likes of you that early and come back.
The only thing you're doing...
But there was just no feeling that it doesn't matter what you do, there's no way of coming back.
Listen, at that point at half-time, that she's already seen your Y fronts, mate. All you're trying to do in the second half is make sure she don't see everything else. True. Especially in the cold in February, right? Although it's been quite mild at the moment. Mate, not good, sorry.
No, not good. There's nothing to... I think that's the other thing with Arsenal. Like, take Arsenal 6-0 with a pinch of salt on Arsenal's side. Like, they've battered a very, very bad West Ham side. I don't think it's going to be as easy week in, week out.
You're minus goal difference now. I mean, you've lost 9-0 over the last two, haven't you?
Yeah. It's been pretty bad. Goals are leaking left, right and centre. And you first choice centre-backs are back.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
first choice
been
defence.
back, isn't he? So there isn't an excuse there,
that's
is it?
That's the first choice defence. Obviously, prior to the goal, obviously, Trossard had the effort that Areola pulled off, an amazing save. And what's it like? All I was thinking up until I switched off at 1-0.
Why did you switch off at 1-0?
Because I knew what was happening. I knew what was going to happen.
I'll give it till 3-0, and then that's enough for me.
And then my son wanted to watch something on TV, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Watch what you want to watch on TV, because this is going to be a nightmare. I would say that Areola has been Hammer of the Year so far. I think most West Ham fans would have to agree that Areola has been a Hammer of the Year, because the amount of times he's saved us, and yet, you just mentioned, still a negative goal difference. Absolute avoid everywhere in that team. Even if you own assets, it's going to be very difficult to sell a Bowen or people that may have a Kudus. I'm grateful that my only West Ham asset is Thomas Souček, so he's basically bench fodder for me. But the first opportunity I get to move him on, if I can, I definitely will be. Like, he might be my make weight to get Marcus Tavernier, for example, in 26 or 27.
Who are you referring to? Sorry, Souček?
Souček, yeah, exactly. Like, it's a 0.7 difference. I'll be able to find that much.
But you're not playing him much anyway, right? And he might be useful in 29.
No, but I think the upside of maybe a Tavernier over the double and the fixtures that they've got.
But then it's not a double. But if you get to 28, Bournemouth have got 2 fixtures, but it's in 1 week and then none. Whereas you've got Souček over 28 and 29.
Yeah, maybe. But I'll see how I'm feeling closer to the time. He's not going to return in any case, right? So West Ham particularly bad at the moment. Avoid is the only word you can use with them.
Okay.
Avoid.
This will be stubborn. And listen, if I could rewind and know that Arsenal was going to win 6-0, obviously I wouldn't have sold Saka and I would have sold Bowen instead. But
look, and we both benched Gabriel.
You might have noticed in terms of what I was thinking in terms of some transfer options. I'll tell you one that isn't an option for me right now, and it's selling Bowen. Those fixtures coming up, I'm sorry, are brilliant. Forest away, Brentford at home, Everton away, Burnley at home, Villa at home. He ain't going anywhere for me, Jared Bowen. Sorry.
I think we could lose all of them.
Yeah, but I think there's things that could
maybe
change.
I'm a bit in a negative mindset.
This with Johnson, I mean, he moved to the left and Kudus played on the right.
Why?
Well, because Kudus is better from the right than the left, isn't it?
Sure.
That's it. You're trying to get more out of Kudus.
It's like he's throwing a lot of shit at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Okay.
It's basically what he's doing.
Some of the shit that hits the wall and sticks might be better is Paqueta being back possibly next week, because you'll just look devoid of creativity without him. Yeah. And he will make a difference, mate.
Of course he will.
And Antonio, he's back in training and will probably won't start next week, but he'll every chance Brentford, I think, in 2 weeks possibly will start. Now, that's going to mean a deeper role maybe for Bowen, but I don't think right or up front, I don't think it's had a huge impact on him. We've even seen him play up front and move to the right late in games and get returns from the right? Yep. I think Wolves at home's a good example of that, for example. So, no, Bowen's not going anywhere. And I told you before this week, my plan's actually to add Kudus in 26 as well. So this is what we can do.
You're a brave man.
I'm not saying I'm definitely going to do that, but I think in terms of timing-wise, if I'm heading towards 29, yeah, I might come back for it. they've got to be motivated to recover from that, right?
Oh, of course.
What happened after you lost 5-0 at Fulham?
We won. We beat Man United,
3-0.
Wolves, then Man United, and then Arsenal.
And 2 clean sheets, and then Arsenal, 3 clean sheets.
Yes. And Brighton was after that as well. No.
I think there's probably a question to ask of why that's now happened a couple of times where you've got absolutely slapped.
Mentality, James. It's not footballing ability. It's all mentality.
But then also, like I said, it's worth saying you've recovered well the last couple of times.
Yeah.
So for me, Bowen's not going anywhere. I realise there'll be people who want to jettison him out this week, and I get it. You know, if you're going from a Bowen to a Jota this week, of course, absolutely get it and stuff. But no, he's sticking for me. And like I said, I might even add another one once we get to 26. However, as shit as you were, mate, we shouldn't overlook how good the opposition were for the 35, 40-odd minutes that I watched of this game. And I suspect, looking at the statistics, it only got more damning the longer the game went on. Odegaard, over 100 passes completed and like 10 chances created or something absurd.
Dominant.
Arsenal did something a bit different in this, and to be honest, Arteta deserves credit because he got his tactics absolutely right against Liverpool, and he did with this one as well. So without Zinchenko, it's obviously uncomfortable for Kivior to move into the midfield area. Uncomfortable might be harsh. Let's just say it's not to be done in the same way. And I've long said to Clayton, why don't you just move Ben White into midfield and just do it the other way? And on this occasion, it happened, but the timing of it was quite important. So what Arsenal did quite a lot was they dropped Odegaard in with Rice really deep, and it dragged people out, and then suddenly he'd disappear, and then White would be joining Rice in there, and then Odegaard and Saka were having this beautiful little link on the right-hand side and basically just opening you up at will. And opening you up at will is tough, actually. To do what Arsenal did yesterday is tough. Not many teams do that against you. Look at how you defended at my place in December, right? It's not the first time we've seen something like that. So really cute tactically. I think also, obviously, with Trossard playing as the 9, he obviously wants to go and float into dangerous areas as well. Link perhaps more with Martinelli that side. Vacate the space, and it allowed Havertz to obviously arrive at the right time in the middle as well. So a very different setup from Arsenal from the Liverpool game to this game, and we would expect a different setup, but also not just normal Arsenal. Something a bit different. That might be something to keep more of an eye on in terms of Ben White. I think one of the things they might not like about that longer term is if to play up against a team that has a dangerous left winger, someone not called Ben Johnson, for example, that I think they would rather Gabriel gets drawn out wide to, say, their left-hand side rather than Saliba to the right. Keeping Saliba against a real strong opponent central in terms of transition, I think is more important. They were happy to leave Gabriel with
It was too
Bowen.
easy a game for them. Too easy a game.
To be honest. I think you're going to get a bit of rotation in terms of the forward areas and, well, to be honest, the whole team now with Arsenal. Obviously, Champions League will start up for them soon as well. The majority of the squad is fit. They're in a strong position. And for those who said they've got no chance of the title, I mean, to win the 2 games in the manner that they have the last 2 weeks, you'd have to say, yes, they're in it. And from an FPL perspective, these fixtures are great, Suj. So what I can definitely say to you is, despite it being a double game week, it's no effing way that Gabriel's getting benched this week away to Burnley. Newcastle at home, Sheffield United away, Brentford at home. It's great 4 fixtures.
It is.
And it might even be that my choice this week, if I decide to bin Trent, it's just to go, nah, sod this. I'll join Clayton and go double defensive. That might be my choice.
Just saying, he's triple defence.
He's triple, but he ain't got Saka, so you win some, you lose some.
Fair play.
I never wanted to sell Saka. I put my hands up and say, this is what happens when you get sucked into a certain strategy.
Yeah. Fixtures and planning and all this.
This is something to bear in mind. Saka's outscored Bowen by, 13 points this week.
15-pointer for Saka, 2-pointer for Bowen.
2-pointer for Bowen. But selling Bowen this week, rather than Saka, possibly would have cost me probably at least, I think, 8 points further down the line. So, although I've lost out by 13 points, I've still lost out, but I've not lost out as bad as it sounds because, as said, my intention is, and maybe I'll face more pain for it, I'm not selling Jared Bowen with them West Ham fixtures, knowing that Paquetá's close, Antonio will be back, and he'll cover through nicely for me, Jared Bowen. And he's still tallies, man.
Yeah, everything you said makes perfect sense.
Do I wish I was sitting there?
What you watch?
Do I wish I had Saka sitting there rather than Bowen now? Yes,
of course you do.
And Saka at Burnley, you just think, oh no. And to be honest, them fixtures, you think there could be more. But I had a real look at Saka before I sold him, and I know his underlines have been on the rise recently. But do you know what I even thought, Serge? Thought he's returned well in the last 2. This might even be a good time to jump off. Do you know what I mean? Rather than people do it like a lot of us captained him against Palace. There's loads of people sold him after that blank against Palace. That's only 3 games ago where they won 5-0 when he didn't look like he was going to return. So,
yeah, I'll have to wait and see what happens with my returning to Arsenal, to be honest with you. It'll be a 26 question when I'm selling. I've got Jota and Trent to get rid of in 26. So it could easily be Saliba and Saka, but I'm only causing myself a problem for 29 if I buy those 2. So I'll have to wait and see. How much do I factor in?
That's it. I could go
29 players.
Go Jota to Saka in 26, but going Kudos seems more fun. Okay, someone sack me.